Happy Tuesday to you, DT main feed. I've got a special treat for you this week. We are re-releasing our DCOM-structed from last month. If you're unfamiliar, DCOM-structed is our Patreon Disney Channel original movie watch-along podcast. And last month, we watched through Motocrossed. Now, we're putting this on the main feed for 3 reasons. Reason number 1, we've all been traveling for like a month. We're exhausted. We're a little behind on recording, and we decided to take a week off. Thing number 2, this summer over at our Patreon, we are hosting what we are calling Hot Girl of the 21st Century Summer, where every month over the summer, we are watching one of the Xenon Girl of the 21st Century movies, the Zillogy, if you will, and releasing that again exclusively on our Patreon. So we thought we'd give you a taste of DCOM-structed in hopes that maybe you would come over and join us at patreon.com/debatethiscast. And of course, reason number 3, if you were unaware, June is Pride Month. Now, if you've listened to Debate This for a while, you know the 4 of us are 4 straight white guys, and quite frankly, it felt a little disingenuous to just do a Pride episode. But we are all allies. A couple of us have queer partners. And if you didn't know, Motocrossed might be the gayest movie Disney has ever made. It is at least the gayest movie Disney made before 9/11. So take that for what you will. Enjoy this breakdown or our journey through watching Motocrossed. And we will see you for a regular episode of Debate This right here next week.
I hope no one else is doing a bit, but I'm doing a bit.
Daddy's got a pod.
I'm Casey Kasem, and this one's for the perverts.
Join us in our strange ritual.
That is time-traveling love smut.
I can only say horny in one season opener.
A medium amount of fun and an extra large amount of sweaty.
From the minds that brought you Giraffe and Amerisaur.
No regrets, no masters.
I got dick jokes to make, man. Leave me alone.
This is good. This is good for anyone.
This one's going to be weird. I'm very interested to see where this goes.
Hello, and welcome to DCOM-structed, the show where the answer is always faith, trust, and taking parts off the practice bike.
That's pretty good.
That is really good. You got to take the top end off the practice bike.
The top end. I watched this 2 days ago. I couldn't remember what part he kept blowing off the real bike.
If you put a bunch of pieces of metal in a lineup and one of them was a top end, I do not think in any situation I'd be able to point it out.
I want to guess that it's the same as the head gasket. It feels like it's the same thing as a head gasket, which again, I think just is the top part of the engine.
Zendaya is Michi, Kyle.
In this show, we open up the vault to over-examine the pinnacle of made-for-TV feature-length films, the Disney Channel original movie, or DCOM. This month, we're talking about the 2001 queerbait hit Motocrossed. Disney Channel's Motocrossed.
This movie is definitely queer-coded as fuck.
Yeah.
And also exceptionally progressive for a 2001 made-for-TV movie.
Exceptionally
IMHO.
progressive.
Yes. Yeah. And incredibly horny.
Yeah, it's real
Exceptionally horny.
So guys, before we dive too far into it, we need to let our listeners know what we're talking about. So, guys, give me your Disney Vader pitches.
I have one that is not short, but I am proud of what I have come up with, so I would like to present it for judgment anyway.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
It is 18 words long, so again, not short, but progressive siblings prove that one's ability to ride a dirt bike is not determined by one's gender or sexuality.
Good. Great.
I want to try one. Literal manic pixie dream girl races motorcycles.
Good. Mine is a little more straightforward. Shakespeare's Twelfth Night with motocross.
Oh, that's good.
Wow. Yeah. I'm not familiar with 12th Night, but I'm going to agree like everybody else did.
At 12th Night, she's the man.
Yeah.
She's the man.
Okay.
I did not know 12th Night before I started prepping for today. I knew She's the Man was based on a Shakespeare play.
Yeah, man.
And I Googled what Shakespeare play is She's the Man based on.
Got it. Okay, cool. I was going to say, I think I said twice last night watching this movie that She's the Man walked, or I'm sorry, Motocross walked, so She's the Man could run. Also, I've been staring at the words 12th bike at the top of our show notes for like 20 minutes trying to figure out what that's a reference
Wondering
to.
what the hell I was doing.
Yeah,
Good.
now I get it, and it's very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Disney's Motocrossed, the story of twin motocross racers who do a little switcheroo so they can stay in the competition and win that factory sponsorship.
Can I ask real quick, in 2001, how, I don't want to use the words like plugged in, but like how aware of like dirt bike and motocross culture were you guys?
Less than zero. I had a friend in grade school who did dirt bikes. And when I say did dirt bikes, that is what I mean. He did dirt bikes, and I have zero other context than that.
I would put myself firmly in that same circle Andrew is in. I had a friend that did dirt bikes. His hobby, his Ken job was dirt bike.
Yeah, exactly. He was dirt bike Barbie.
You know, I had access to cable and MTV, so I was vaguely aware that it was rising in pop culture, and I think like Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX had come out for various systems, and I had played a demo or something of that.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Where I grew up, dirt biking was a really, really big thing. I was not
Sure.
into it at all. I did not ride. My parents did not want me to, but like 2 kids in my neighborhood had dirt bikes. One of them, I think, now owns a dirt bike like parts store. There's a dirt bike track 5 minutes from my house. Everyone I grew up with wore exclusively Fox Racing brand gear for like a year.
Yeah.
This movie felt like home in a weird way that
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for.
That's fair. The Fox Racing definitely
That
like
transcended
yeah.
the sport for sure.
Yeah, 100%. It was a clothing brand around this time.
Yeah. Let's get into the show then. And
This movie's really good.
This movie's really
good. I sorry to interrupt you. I feel like it's necessary to start just by saying like I genuinely enjoyed every minute of this movie. I kind of love it. And I went into this not remembering, like I was like, oh, I don't think I've ever seen this one. And then it wasn't until like she got the pixie cut and was like, you know, walking around with the sunglasses and the hat backwards, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay,
This movie.
Yep,
Yeah.
this movie, and it's really good, and it holds up in a way that I don't think any of these really have, because this is, for all intents and purposes, this is a different Johnny Tsunami. Like this is a lot of the same plot beats of Johnny Tsunami, but with this extra twist of like, girls can do anything that guys can do. And it says the message really well without like super leaning into it, without feeling like really
it's not
after school specially.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I agree. This is a very good movie. A lot of moments that didn't feel like it was a Disney Channel movie too. A lot of moments of like, that's a bit harsh for Disney. Or that's a bit horny for Disney.
Yeah, that's fair.
I thought it was all really like, you know, for all of the parts that were character moments and stuff and things that were filmed well. I thought also the dirt bike riding looked cool and was like filmed well and was fun to watch. I was like, shit, man, like this is awesome. I mean, not to knock on Johnny Tsunami, but there were definitely parts of this that I was like, that is a Visit Hawaii commercial that you have chopped into a movie.
Yeah.
And this actually felt like they went and watched people ride dirt bikes somewhere and got somebody who knows how to film it to do it and that sort of thing.
I think it very much shows that this movie came out in 2001, where like this was post Disney Channel had already been on basic cable.
Yeah.
You know, like they had some budget behind these movies, where in Johnny Tsunami they absolutely did not.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Let's everyone open up a browser to IMDb and let's pour over the cast here. Who's the stunt cast? Do we have a stunt cast in this movie?
What a hard question to answer.
I have kind of a wild answer, and I don't know that you guys are gonna agree.
Okay.
Hit me.
My wild card answer is Mark Curry, who was a cameo, was basically like a cameo. And I only say that because Mark Curry was most famously Mr. Cooper from Hangin with Mr. Cooper.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, but also would like come back, and he was the guy that played the bellhop. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but the guy that played the bellhop in Sweet Life, who was also in Scrubs as Hooch is Crazy.
Yes.
Mark Curry was that guy 10 years before that guy was that guy.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and so Mark Curry had a bunch of other like bit parts, like he would show up in shows every now and then, but because he was just fucking Mr. Cooper. And like I remember watching this movie and been like, was like Leonardo DiCaprio meme, like that's Mr. Cooper. Like that was for me. I've been thinking a lot about this, and the way that Mark Curry's character is only on for 2 scenes, and like this movie definitely doesn't need Mark Curry's character at all. Because he just shows up and he's like, Andy Carson, I want to know everything about the man behind the helmet.
He's a bit of an exposition character to just kind of tell the audience, like, hey, here's how a sponsorship works in the motocross world.
Right. And it definitely had the vibe of like, if this were a stage play, Mark Curry was just backstage and just kind of on hold when the energy started dragging.
Yeah.
It's just like, get him out there.
Get Mr. Cooper in there.
Yeah, my very wild card answer is Mark Curry, aka Mr. Cooper.
I don't hate that.
I don't disagree with your answer though, Kyle, which I'm looking in the notes.
Yeah, so I have 2. I think the parents, the mom, Margaret Humes, and Timothy Carhart.
It's Mary Margaret Humes. Not that that's
Mary Margaret.
Yeah.
Did I flip it? Whatever.
You flipped it.
We got it.
Dawson's mom. It's
Dawson's mom from Dawson's Creek, and she was in History of the World Part 1.
I threw that in there. That one was
Matt
for
threw
me.
in.
Yes.
And Timothy Carhart was in the best submarine movie, Hunt for the Red October.
Hold on. K2 would like a word, but that's not in this podcast.
I will not hear this Hunt for Red October slander, Matt.
That's absolutely a Volcano Dante's Peak situation.
And he was in Thelma and Louise. They're the objectively right answers, I think, but I think Mr. Cooper is the better answer.
So let me give you a couple of other wild card answers. I've got 2 that are a bit and one that I think is my real answer. The first one that isn't my real answer, but is less of a bit than the other one, is Kate Ellis. So before this, she was Farron, the daughter that was the like objective.
She was the third peak of the love triangle.
Exactly. Yeah. She did 62 episodes of Days of Our Lives in like 96, 98.
But she didn't do 562 episodes of Days of Our Lives. So
that's true. Well, because she probably got killed off. 62 episodes is about a character's lifespan. So
yeah, that's about 2 seasons.
But it was before Motocrossed, so that's thing 1. Bit number 2, Simon Shelton, bit part, cast as Mr. O'Connell or Man at Track. Simon Shelton was a Teletubby, and I think that's really fun.
Good.
He was Tinky Winky 3, the third Tinky Winky, leading up to 2001. But my actual answer for who's the stunt cast is that Travis Pastrana is in this movie. Travis Pastrana, the Tony Hawk of dirt bike riding.
Yeah. And Jeremy McGrath. Was also, they had Jeremy, and Steve Lamson was the other one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know Steve Lamson.
One, I just want to say that when you Google Simon Shelton, the second picture that comes up is him in the Tinky Winky costume with the head off, which is just excellent.
Good.
2, I seem to remember like BMX / motocross trying to be more legitimized than skateboarding was around this time. I do seem to recall like a feeling that all the big companies missed out on pro skateboarding, but BMX was coming up and they weren't going to miss that train again, but it just never had the sauce that pro skateboarding did, which would explain why Travis Pastrana and I forget the other names.
Jeremy McGrath.
Not Mark McGrath. Yeah.
Jeremy McGrath
were in this because Tony Hawk had already proven you can make hundreds of millions of dollars as a pro.
Kyle, Eric Von Detten proved that.
Yeah,
fair point.
My apologies.
Fair point. I mean, this is like peak X Games Extreme Sports War.
Yeah.
And like, not to be pedantic, but like BMX and motocross are different things. And so like
they are.
There's skateboarding, there's BMX, there's motocross, there's
but not
surfing,
to your grandma.
There's downhill snowboarding. Well, they are to my grandma when I say I want Excite Bike 64 or Matt Hoffman's BMX for the PS2. Pushes up glasses. Anyway,
that feels very personally tailored. What's interesting about them being in this movie, this is a Chandler's favorite movie is Die Hard, and also Bruce Willis is in an episode of Friends. Because in the beginning of the movie, they to make sure that the kids in the audience know who these people are, they name drop Travis Pastrana and Jeremy McGrath, but they only use their last names.
That's true.
And then those people are in the movie, not as themselves, but they don't have credited names, which I find very fun.
Are they just other racers?
There's some racers.
And you see them like unmasked a couple of unhelmeted.
If you know who they are, you'll know who they are, kind of thing.
Yeah.
At the time, I imagine this was for the 7 kids, including Matt, in the crowd who knew the source. Right?
Well, that's like I can't. I have a hard time explaining how big motocross was in my town in 2001, but like it would have taken exactly one commercial of, hey guys, look, Travis Pastrana is in this movie, for every boy in my school to sit down and watch this movie, which we'll talk about later, but I think is very clearly a Barbie movie.
100% a Barbie movie.
It's a Barbie driving Barbie's Hot Wheel, but it's a Barbie movie for sure. And so like, I think Travis Pastrana is kind of the get to be like, hey boys, get in here and then ask yourself a lot of questions. Are you ready?
Yeah, get into this very horny river. We'll just casually play together.
Take your shirt off, but not your padded pants.
But not your padded
pants.
I've got kind of a wild one. I'm looking at all of the actors here, and ironically, of the entire cast list today in 2024, I would say the most famous person. So fans of Veronica Mars or Party Down, have you seen either of those two properties? Okay.
I'm aware of them.
Those are two things that I hold very dear to my heart.
Party Down is one of those, like, I missed it when it was big, but it's all of my favorite people's favorite thing. And
it's freaks and geeks for a different group of comedians. Ryan Hansen was he's most known for Veronica Mars, but he's also in Party Down as one of probably the funniest guys on that show. Anyway, this is his very first credit. He was just an unnamed boy. This movie is his very first credit, which cool. I find is kind of neat. And I would say of all of these people right now today, many of whom do not act anymore, he's probably the most famous.
I think
one
so.
Of him or Mark Curry.
I don't think we can totally leave Riley Smith out, who played Dean. He's been in a bunch of shit I have not seen. Like, he did 62 episodes of the Nancy Drew TV series in 2019.
He looked very familiar, and I could not clock it.
I don't know about you, Andrew, but to me, he is legally distinct from the guy who played Legion in Legion.
Okay. I was gonna say he is a different Chad Michael Murray.
He is a different Chad Michael Murray. Well, let's get into Where Are They Now? Because that's the first one I have. Riley Smith, who played Dean Talon, which we need to address that his name was Dean Talon at some point.
Dean Talon. His name is Dean Talon, and honestly, great character.
Yeah. Great character.
No notes.
Great.
10 out of 10, no notes.
Very much a Dean Talon in this movie.
I would say I actually disagree with you. I think Dean Talon has big villain vibe.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I could definitely go either way, but like I think it's either like it's either Evel Knievel or it's Dr. Evil. But I do think that it's fun that Dean Talon went on the same journey as the guy from Mulan, and that was a fun parallel for me.
Yes, very much so.
Yes. He was in Not Another Teen Movie the same year Motocrossed came out.
Oh, wow.
What drastically different audiences. Holy shit.
We'll get to a drastically different audience here in a second.
His character, I was trying to remember what his character was. His character does mocks the kid from American Beauty. The one that's like that films the plastic bags.
Yeah. Good.
If you haven't seen American Beauty, I can't explain that to you, and I won't.
American Beauty is
the most 1999 movie that ever 1999.
1999 movie that ever 1999. Elena Austin, who played Andy, quit acting.
Yeah, I wrote this because in her IMDb it says her dad is Steve Austin. I was like, holy shit, her dad's Stone Cold Steve Austin. Not Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Different Steve Austin.
But her dad also was in a motocross movie 4 years later, which I find very fun.
Good.
Yeah. So it says like her last credit is like 2006, and then she clearly she got into medicine, which like good for her.
Good.
Our first female pro tag without a Hallmark Christmas movie in her credits, which is something.
She broke the curse.
She broke the curse. Good for her.
I do also think it's fun that she was in 3 different motocross theme shows around the same time, because she did Supercross in 2005 and Motocross Kids in 2004, which to me means that she must have been one of the only working actresses of that age who could ride a dirt bike, and I think that's
who could ride a dirt bike. That's very much what that tells me. Yeah,
it definitely says like she probably did some of the stunts, which is cool.
Very cool. The same year Motocrossed came out, Michel Cuneo, I don't know how do you say his name, starred in Fluffers, a movie about a, quote, gay-for-pay porn star.
Neat.
Also came out in 1991. There's our other very different audiences movie. He also performs with Postmodern Jukebox now here in 2024, which is a few zigs and zags in one man's career.
Yeah, I put a link in here of him covering or them covering. I don't want to assume this person's pronouns. Video Killed the Radio Star, and it's pretty fun.
Very fun.
Yeah, this next one is fun. I like this a lot.
You want to take it, Matt?
Sure. Yeah, Trevor O'Brien, who I believe
Andrew, right?
Yeah, he's the brother.
Yeah.
So he goes on to play Derek in Dodgeball, a character you won't remember by name, but is the shitty cheerleader boyfriend who is not on the actual Dodgeball team, but is the one who makes fun of Justin Long's character is banging the girl that Justin Long desires to bang.
Yes.
Wild.
When did Dodgeball come out? Is that 2003?
2003.
Okay. Only a couple years later. Timothy Carhart, the dad, is in your parents' favorite streaming show, Yellowstone.
Oh,
he's
Yellowstone.
a not minor character in Yellowstone.
Have you guys watched Yellowstone?
I've seen an episode or two when I'm with my parents.
I watched 45 minutes at my grandma's house. Yeah.
I'm not a dad, so I'm not allowed to watch it.
It's your dad's favorite show.
Yeah.
It's one of those shows.
Dodgeball was 04.
Okay.
Oh, sure.
That tracks. And then both the parents, this was a fun little crossover I found, have played roles in the Beverly Hills Cop franchise. Tim Carhart was in Beverly Hills Cop 3, and Mary Margaret Humes was in the made-for-TV Beverly Hills Cop movie that came out in 2013. So, like Matt finding MCU stuntmen in these, there's a fun little crossover with Beverly Hills Cop.
I tacked a few other ones on the end here. We already talked about Ryan Hansen and his 55 episodes of Veronica Mars. But did you guys realize at the very end, the lady who comes out and is like,
Sure did.
we will give a sponsorship to a girl. That's Nurse Roberts from Scrubs.
That was my Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the TV moment. That's Laverne from Scrubs.
Yeah.
And then her twin, when they killed her off her character and they brought her back because they felt bad.
Because they thought that was going to be their last season, and then it wasn't.
Yep. That's Aloma Wright is the name of that actress. And then now we get to have a brief word about Eight-Legged Freaks.
My God, please, let's talk about Eight-Legged Freaks. What a movie. Did you ever see that one, Kyle?
No. Or if I did, it was like on the background at a lock-in or something. But
yeah.
Before Andrew even starts talking, Kyle, can you tell me do you know anybody in Eight-Legged Freaks?
Like anybody in it? No.
Like,
I know the general plot is giant spiders.
I'll tell you up front, it's David Arquette and Scarlett Johansson. Those are the two people in Eight-Legged Freaks.
Eight-Legged Freaks is a sci-fi original movie before sci-fi had original movies.
It
was a theatrical released sci-fi original movie.
It's like one of the last B movies to get a theatrical release, for sure. Yep. David Arquette is a name that...
And it was a name in 2001 or whenever it came out.
It was a big name that does not come up ever anymore. Did he do something? Was he canceled?
Were you going to ask, did he die?
No.
I was going to ask... so I just went to his IMDb. He's been a producer on a lot of stuff.
Okay.
Including something called You Cannot Kill David Arquette in 2020. I don't know what that is, but it doesn't look great.
This actor David Arquette attempts a rocky return to the sport that stalled his promising Hollywood career. Okay.
Was he a fighter? Did he?
I don't think this is a bit, and that sucks.
Well, I guess. Yeah, I mean, he EP'd Cougar Town. That's a real thing.
Yeah, because his wife was the main character.
Yeah.
Who's his wife?
Courtney Cox. Famously, Courtney Cox Arquette.
Yeah.
Well, they're not married anymore, but...
Yeah, goddamn, you're so right. That is the same last name. That's crazy. So I bring up Eight-Legged Freaks not to talk about David Arquette, but to talk about the fact that both Riley Smith, Dean Talon, and Scott Terra, the little brother, Jason, were in Eight-Legged Freaks. Which, when I found that out, I assumed there was going to be like a weird amount of people from this movie in Eight-Legged Freaks. There's not. It's only two, but it's weird that it happened twice. So
the two that had like the most credits, honestly, like outside of the parents, like Scott Terra and Riley Smith, actually had like a decent amount of credits to their name.
Career. Yeah. David Arquette did professional wrestling. That's the sport that almost ended his acting career. In that,
I don't want to know about that.
The word almost is doing a lot of lifting.
Doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Yeah. Probably heavier lifting than David Arquette did while he was pro wrestling. Anyway, Eight-Legged Freaks leads me to Scott Terra, which leads me to our very easy MCU connection. Scott Terra played young Matt Murdock in the 2003 Daredevil movie, which as of Deadpool 3 is an MCU movie because... Elektra's in there. Jennifer Garner bringing her back. So there you go. Scott Terra was also in Dickie Roberts' former child star, a movie that I loved as a kid and cannot have held up well.
That is certainly a movie.
Nothing with the tagline starring David Spade needs to be watched in 2024.
That was what is his name even? Because was David Spade the lead, or was that okay?
Yeah.
I forget the.
It was David Spade being a David Spade character.
David Spade, John Lovitz, David Spade hooking up with a woman who was way too hot for him. Yeah. Standard things.
Yeah.
Wow, there's Alyssa Milano was in that movie. Holy shit.
Do we have any good DCOM bingos to call out besides like precocious little sibling and awful parent?
Yeah, worst dad, best brother.
Worst dad, best brother.
Best brother.
Yeah,
I think,
he's great
so far.
He really stole, like, every scene he was in. He really kind of stole the show.
There was one, he legitimately did a, like, two other people are having a conversation. He comes out of nowhere, walks across the screen, drops his one, like, ad-lib line and, like, exits screen right.
I mean, he was genuine. Like, he got a handful of chuckle, like, actual guffaws out of me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, in the
legitimately
scene,
funny.
Yeah, in the scene when they're in the store, like the motocross shop, the one motocross shop in town, and they do
where
the, like,
the guy working is on drugs.
Yeah, the guy working is on drugs. He's got bad eyesight. He inhaled a bunch of paint thinner or something.
Yeah.
And they did the bit where, like, both Andys are, like, there, and then she disappears, and like, that was really funny. It was just like a very fun visual gag, and they nailed it.
They did nail that. Before we kick it to commercial real quick, do we want to do either, could Disney make this movie today in 2024, or something Shakespeare?
Say more words. What is the second B? What is that second
one?
Well,
like Matt, like we talked about up front, this is the 12th night, which this walked so she's the man can run. Shakespeare adaptations are Disney gold.
Yeah.
You know, a family movie gold, I think, is the thesis of that point there. And 12th Night is, you know, not the two Shakespeare plays everyone knows, so you can get away with it without anyone calling you out, because it's not Romeo and Juliet or Hamlet, which everyone will identify.
No, I absolutely do not think Disney can make this movie today. And here's why. Not that I think this movie is necessarily, like, heroic or brave in its message.
Sure.
I think it's because this movie doesn't have any kind of a queer message. Not in a bad way, just it doesn't even consider it.
It's not queer enough for the queer audience, but it is too queer for the conservative audience, is probably my take on it.
Yeah.
I think to expand a little bit on what Andrew said too, is like in 2001 doing Girls Can Ride Dirt Bikes Too, like that was a movie. That was a premise that I think held weight as a movie. And honestly, in 2024, like, feminism has pushed far past, we need to fight for our right to race dirt bikes, you know? And so, like Andrew said, I think it just doesn't have a lot of weight. It's cool to be like, wow, this movie was done in 2001. That's awesome. But looking at it in 2024, it doesn't have a lot to really make it special.
Similar to how Eight-Legged Freaks was the last truly B movie to get a theater release. This came in just under the wire of, like, being able to be so queer coded without your average Disney viewer picking up on any of that. Thereby, it didn't even register as something they need to worry about. Mm-hmm. Whereas even a year or two later, the zeitgeist shifted enough that your most conservative Disney parent would clock this as, like, hey, something's off here. That's my take on it, is 2001 was a different time.
Yeah. I mean, I think in 2001, genders being equal was a lot of the messaging. And I think in 2024, gender doesn't really matter is a lot more of the messaging. And those are two distinctly different things.
And you can see it in the text of the movie, the assertion that girls don't ride dirt bikes is not questioned until the third act of the movie. Like, the dad just gets to say that for 2/3 of the movie, and the argument is shut down until the third act of the movie after she's like proven she's already done it. Like
until her mom airbuds Nurse Roberts.
Yeah.
It's like there's nothing in the rules that says a dog can't play basketball.
They do the airbud pull does happen in this movie. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back and hit our book report topics. We will be right back. If you want to have your own hot girl of the 21st century summer, please go over to patreon.com/debatethis
Cast
and subscribe.
/debatethis
/debatethiscast and subscribe to join us on DCOM-structed, where we will be watching all 3 Xenon Girl of the 21st Century movies this summer and talking about them.
See this Lapidus.
It's the Zillogy.
That's the thing from the show, Todd. It is the Zillogy.
Zillogy is what I would scroll at night when I was longing for what houses I couldn't afford.
No, that's actually the religion that belongs to the website that you would scroll for houses that you can't afford.
Yeah.
You gotta have the right Zayton count.
Todd is a practicing Zillogist.
Yeah, what are your Zidichlorians like?
It's the stupidest fucking thing we're doing.
That's so good. Okay, we're back. We have some discussion topics to pull through. I'll kick this off. In 2024, is this still the most LGBTQ friendly Disney movie? And if not, what topped it?
Well, are you talking like just capital D Disney or Disney Channel or of the ones we've watched?
I am talking capital D Disney. That is to say, anything that gets the Disney logo on it. So Disney's a wide umbrella these days, and I don't think like the MCU or Star Wars are included in this conversation. I am talking like Disney or Disney Pixar. I think it might still be.
I don't know. But I Googled gayest Disney movie, which brought me to gamingmag.com. That's gaming spelled with a gay. And I have found this list
like the letter gay.
The letter gay.
The letter gay.
I have found this list called Let's Rank the Disney Openly Gay Characters. And a couple that are jumping out, I guess the Oryx Antlersons, which are a couple, like the rabbit cop's parents in Zootopia or something, are gay.
Oryx Antlersons?
Yes, it's Bucky Oryx Antlerson and Pronk Oryx Antlerson.
Oh, I got it. I was putting a space between antler and sins.
Sorry, no, that was an apostrophe S on Antlerson. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
It's a Norwegian name, it seems.
Yeah. Right.
Apparently, they are Disney's first ever gay couple shown on screen in Zootopia 2016. And apparently the Cyclops officer in Onward, a movie that I did not see, is gay.
That was one. Both famously cut out for the international market.
Right. And then I know the one that I'm thinking of is Josh Gad's LeFou in the Beauty and the Beast live action remake, which definitely made Tucker Carlson have a heart attack for a day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Alicia Hawthorne, apparently in the 2022 Lightyear movie, has a same-sex kiss.
That was the one that really kicked off the woke Disney screeds.
Can I posit something?
Yeah.
And maybe this is not a black and white kind of question, but I don't think this movie has any blatant trans or LGBTQ messaging, but
it's certainly not any intentional.
But I think that's why it succeeds in that, because I was explaining this to my partner earlier. So let's talk about the scene at the river.
Yeah, let's talk about the scene at the river.
Let's talk about the scene at the river.
Because, man, I think this is like maybe the best scene in the movie. Honestly, it's definitely up there. So the deal is Andy has already done her first set of rides, or her first set of races, and She meets Dylan. Nope.
Dean
Talon.
Dean Talon.
Dean Talon. She meets Dean Talon. And Dean Talon's like, hey, you're really good with girls because a bunch of the girls, random girls here, the trailer girls, are hanging out with your mom.
You're the prettiest motocross rider.
Because you're the objectively prettiest motocross rider. Yeah.
And I do want to point out
your pixie haircut is not fooling anybody.
You are the best at girls because they're the most girls at your tent because you brought your mom here. So, hey, you have a relationship with your mom. Teach me how to be good with girls.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is. Like, you have a positive relationship with another woman.
I will also point out at multiple times in this movie, my wife just pointed out to the screen, that is just a woman with short hair. They have done nothing except cut her hair and put a baggy sweatshirt on her. There is no way in 2024 anyone would not immediately clock her as a woman in this movie.
Exactly. And she's like wearing nail polish, and she doesn't stop wearing nail polish, and it becomes a part of the story, which is
helps her grip.
Kind of fun. Helps her grip. But so anyway, so Dean Talon approaches Andy and is like, I will help you do motocross better if you help me with the leaders or whatever, Fawn Henderson.
Farron
Henderson, who is like clearly not into him. Like, right. Like, okay, we get it. So they go on this, like, they start riding motocross, and then it turns into like the greatest date ever, and to the tune of We're at the Top of the World by Juliana Theory, which is a great track, which we will hear the entirety of as we close this episode.
Yes.
And so they have a great time in a montage, and it makes you want to ride motorcycles in the woods, like 100%. And then they get to a river, and he's like, come on, man, take your shirt off. And like, and this is what I mean is like, this is a movie in 2001. This could have gone for so many gay jokes. And
it did not. Yeah.
It was never considered. Their relationship is so wholesome from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
She is terrible at acting as a boy. She doesn't she is constantly like hugging him, like, very much like act like she's crying in front of him. And the whole time he's just like, oh yeah, he's just a little different. He just shows his emotion. Like, I love that about him. Like, it's very wholesome. And I think this is a long walk to a short pier, but I think that's why this is LGBTQ friendly in a different way.
Yes,
and that
very much so.
Because it's very normalized. Like, this whole relationship is very normalized, and like they don't even, they don't have to say it.
Yeah.
I just looked. I was curious, and I didn't know. Mulan came out in 98, so 3 years before this. And I do think that it is impossible to watch the relationship between Dean and definitely not a girl Andy develop. Like, it's impossible to not see the relationship between, I think is it Shang Yu? I haven't seen Mulan in a long time.
Donny Osmond.
Yeah,
Donny
as the
Osmond.
titular Mulan, like their relationship of, going to the forest and discovering your powers and then not taking your shirt off to go swimming. Like, all of those things are copied line for line.
Yeah.
But I agree with what you said, Andrew, of like, is this movie explicitly like giving a queer message in any way? No, not really. But by, in a sense, kind of like holding space for one and not going out of their way to take jabs, I think they do that.
By 2001 standards, it certainly does. This was like the best a gay kid could hope for in 2001, I think. Again, like we said, because it holds that space. It does not comment to mock at any point, and it is just a wholesome relationship.
Because at the end, so like at the end, they win the race, blah blah, and then they're like, oh, we're gonna hire a new racer, and at this point, it's already been revealed that she's not Andrew, she's Andy, yada, yada. And then and Dean for like a second is hurt, and again, it wasn't like, oh my god, I've been hanging out with a girl. It's like oh, you lied to me. Like,
you lied to me.
I'm mad at you. And then like he clearly got over it like a day later and came back. And I think like the whole vibe is like, oh, thank God my dad won't be mad at me. Also, don't grow your hair out.
Yeah.
like she kept the short hair. She
kept the short hair.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely.
Absolutely she did.
Yeah. I think the line that Dean gives when he finds out that Andy is a girl is something along the lines of, but I like told you stuff, which is really good and like incredible delivery. I definitely like that. I think the other thing that is kind of cool about this movie is that like even the dad's girls don't ride dirt bikes never turned into like, what do you want to be, some kind of girl who rides dirt bikes that everybody thinks is like a dude? Because I think that would have been another like low hanging, like the gay jokes that we mentioned earlier. Like it's kind of a low hanging punch that could have conceivably been swung in a 2001 made for TV movie. And I'm glad that it wasn't.
Yeah.
Which again does kind of come back to being very accidental, because I guarantee the only reason there aren't any jokes is because Disney was still probably in its like, we aren't even going to acknowledge this exists with a joke.
It's don't ask, don't tell era.
Yeah.
It super is. And this is a world that existed before the 40-Year-Old Virgin and like the the series of Judd Apatow, like very like toxic male comedies.
It's weird looking back at that era of comedy because the jokes are in those properties are blatantly homophobic.
Yeah.
But they were also like South Park, Family Guy, that those types of movies were the first things talking about LGBTQ people. And that was what made them like they were seen. It was seen as progressive for the time because everything else just wouldn't even touch the topic at all. So,
1,000%.
Yeah. Matt, let's move on to your topic.
Yeah. Okay. So we've already talked a lot. I think this is the worst dad in DCOMs that we've seen. I don't know that we won't see a worse dad in the other DCOMs that we watch, but of the ones we've seen so far, this dad sucks the hardest.
He's definitely on, at least at best, on parity or on par with Smart House Dad.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
And like, even Smart House Dad, I think gets a couple passes that this dad doesn't get.
Yes. Yeah. This dad, again, for the first 2 acts of the movie is almost unforgivable. He does have his like heart-to-heart walk and talk with Andy isn't bad, which makes it like brings him back from the edge of being completely irredeemable to me. But he is until that point is borderline completely irredeemable. He's like just flat out like no holds barred sexist for the first 2/3 of the movie.
He doesn't deserve the redemption he gets.
He doesn't.
He does not at all.
It is an unearned redemption. It just is. It is well acted and well done. I think.
I think there are some interesting parallels to draw between this dad and the dad from Johnny Tsunami. Because, you know, the dad from Johnny Tsunami, his whole thing was like, I don't want you to be like my dad or like my experience growing up, basically projecting his lived experience on his kids. And I think that's what Motocrossed dad did a lot in this movie too, by basically being like, you are my one true son who will win the races that I am too old to win. And I do not care that my younger son is clearly a like high intellectual being switching top ends from bike to bike in world record time.
Not to mention more emotionally intelligent than any other 12-year-old, including Johnny Tsunami out there.
Yeah. So I do think worst DCOM dad, but that transitions into best DCOM little brother. And put on your tin hats here, folks. I think that the little brother set this whole thing up. I think it's all the little brother's scheme.
All right.
You think the little brother broke his older brother's leg?
No, I don't think that. I think the little brother saw an opportunity when the older brother broke his leg, and he took it because there's this throwaway bit at the top of the movie after the dad goes to Europe to buy a new rider. For whatever reason.
Why did you have to go to Europe to get a new rider, by the way? Like, does that ever explored?
It's not explored. We'll get to it in my last topic.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he goes to Europe to buy a new rider, and then suddenly a letter comes in the mail that the whole circuit has been moved up a week. And there is a line given, I think, I'm almost certain by the little brother. Again, I watched this 48 hours ago, but I think by the little brother where he's like, why would they even move the tournament? That doesn't make any sense. But who benefits the most from this? It is the little brother, right? Like Andy gets her thing, Andy gets the guy, but all this little brother has wanted is an opportunity to prove that he is the mastermind behind Carson Racing, who can not only like build a bike that his sister, a girl, can win on, but also can switch a top end from bike to bike in world record time. I think that the brother masterminded a plan, and I don't need to go into details about what that plan might have entailed because I'm not sure, but I think he masterminded a plan to change the schedule of the motorcycle race.
I like this. I like this a lot. However, I think you could use that same logic and say the mom masterminded this for a lot of the same reasons. Also, the mom was the only one who actually looked at the letter, right?
Yes.
And was pretty much exclusively in sole contact with dad while he was finding a rider, buying another man in Europe. But the mom stands as much to gain as little brother in that, for using that same argument, because mom was like, in a very Caroline Ray interview, or Mom Has an Interview with a Vampire. It was like, all of these Disney Channel movies with parents that are basically like, I gave up my dreams to have kids, and like, I'm really happy that you exist, but also like, I'm pretty sad that I lost my life. Like, wow, all right, you went there again.
Gen X writers working through some shit.
Yep. Gen X writers, man. But she has that moment with Andy, and you can see like her kind of like running Carson Racing, and like she gets the jacket, she's reading the rule book, she airbuds the judges, right? Like, you know, she very clearly like got a lot from this too.
Yeah.
I think you could make the argument for either, or frankly for both. Like, both of them are saved the family and are the benefactors as now being part of, like, this now being an actual family business.
I don't want to make you guys like take your tinfoil hats off. I think it's just that it's a well-written like family dynamic. Like, the family does in fact come together to solve this problem. And it highlights all their strengths. And I think, you know, I don't know that we need to say someone orchestrated this. It just is a well-written family dynamic that it has payoffs throughout the rest of the movie. It is very fun, though. It definitely best DCOM precocious little sibling to date.
The one thing that I'll add here is that I don't think the mom could have had anything to do with putting it together, because the mom has a very serious change of heart in this movie. I do think that the mom is the only person in this movie who we get to see learn the lesson and grow. You know, like at the third act reveal, everybody kind of has the like, oh, girl ride bike too. But the mom at first is like very upset, not into the idea. And she kind of has that change of heart where she comes around and is like, if we're going to do this, we're going to do this.
She is the only one who has the realization before Andy starts winning. She's the only one who works her way through the problem herself and like comes to the conclusion of like, if I'm being a fair parent, I can't hold this belief and not well, if we're going to win, we got to put our daughter in kind of thing. Like she has the legitimate like feminist exercise of, well, if I'm going to be a fair parent to my children, I need to allow this to happen and get on board.
Yeah. Matt brought up in Smart House that there is no way that this whole movie occurs in a series of like, what was it, a month? Or maybe not even
a
that.
weekend.
Maybe
Literally like a weekend.
A long weekend. Yeah.
This movie in a similar way plays very fast and loose with the timeline. Because like there are several character arcs that rise and fall in the same span as their dad going to Europe for a week.
Now, they do say he had to extend there is a line the trip gets extended.
Yeah.
It's 2 weeks.
It's 2 weeks.
It's a lot of races in 2 weeks.
So let's talk about, just to kind of plot the like overarching timeline of this movie, right? Like, so we enter in the movie, there's the cheerleading competition, and then that's kind of cut alongside of Andrew racing with his dad, training with his dad.
The cheerleading competition, which I think takes place on a school day, because don't they have to like go do homework or get ready for school?
No, I think it's a Saturday. It's summer. They say it's summer.
Oh, okay.
Because it's summer. So I read this as like a Friday, because that the next day the parents go into the city, and that's when Andrew bashes his leg. And we know that because he says, "Dad, I thought you wanted me to ride every day." So like, the intro to so we've gone one day. And then what is essentially like the next day, Sunday, Andy has already like made up her mind and then convinced the shop owner to take her to a race like the Monday morning. So Saturday he gets hurt. I assume Saturday night he gets his crutches or whatever. The parents drive back. They take him to the hospital Saturday night. Sunday they go to the store. They do the fun switcheroo bit. And then early like Monday morning, we're talking like 4 a.m., they're going to this race. So let's break that down already. So
I guess I didn't think, I thought these races would have all been weekend to weekend to weekend, which stretches it out.
That's what I assumed too. But the movie posits that like, this is like, you're seeing it day for like, you're seeing a very condensed part of time. And that's the thing that's very fucky. So like, assuming even if they went like midweek, there are 3 races in a day, which like, I don't know how motocross works, but like they make it very obvious that like they drive the trailer in early in the morning, and then it's like race. Mm-hmm. So this all happens in the course of a day.
I would believe there are multiple day races in a day, not in the same heat, not, where we would do like the 250s, then the 125s, then some,
I agree with you, Kyle, but here's the thing.
That's not what is happening here. Yes.
This is like a D&D long rest situation where like time is timey-wimey on both ends, because I've just plotted Andy's first act of the timeline. Dad has already gone to Europe by this point, because Dad is in Europe when they go to the store. So theoretically, Dad left for Europe on Sunday.
Okay.
Right? So now we're Monday. We've done 3 races.
Dad books a week-long European flight in
day
a day.
Of.
The day his son breaks his leg.
Look, it's pre-9/11, baby.
Yeah, it's barely.
No, it still is. Counts. It's the summer before 9/11. Counts. So, now we're at the race. I'm really in love with Farron Henderson. Let's go on a romantic ride in the woods to the tune of "We're at the Top of the World." I assume that's Tuesday, because so like now we get a whole montage, right? And Andy learns everything she's ever needed to know about motocross in a day.
All of it. Yeah.
Yep. Everything in a day, because the next race tomorrow.
Yeah.
So now it's Wednesday. And we have 3 more races that Andy does well at. And now like And now it's like, now we have another montage where it's like the brothers are at home. So mom and Andy, like this is like mom and Andy are like out on the road. So we can assume a couple days have passed. They're staying at a hotel.
Yeah.
But they're like on the road. And, you know, she's hanging out with Dean Talon. They get the phone call that dad's got to extend his. So about a week has passed at this point, right? The same time they get the call from dad that he has to extend his trip, she gets the idea, the NSYNC tickets, because the whole thing at the beginning of the movie was that she gets NSYNC tickets for next week.
That's right. Yeah.
Right? So now another week has passed to get her. No, it's not even a week has passed because they're at a hotel. She got the tickets and it's like, can you overnight the tickets because the show is tomorrow?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? So let's assume, so by this point, a show like an NSYNC stadium show would probably be on a Saturday. So we can assume that they're at the hotel 1 week, 1 full week has elapsed by this point. And that's when dad has to extend his whole European campaign. So they meet up. Farron and Dean get the tickets. She does the switcheroo and gets Dean the tickets on Sunday morning in the hotel. They go to or Saturday morning in the hotel. They go to the concert, and then they do a race, and that's when dad comes back.
Yeah.
So we can assume, and they didn't know he was coming back, so maybe a couple other days had passed. So it's like Tuesday, right? So dad comes home. We're like, we're fucking going home. They take the French guy home. It's like Wednesday. By the time of the next race, 2 days have passed. Farron and Dean have already had like an extended relationship. They know everything about each other, and he's already sick of her. And
yeah.
2 days have passed. So like, my point is, an entire summer elapses over the course of like what is effectively 9 days.
Yeah.
Like two relationships rise and fall. And Andy learns everything she ever needed to know about motocross in the span of a week and a half's European vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. I have no disagreements. No arguments to that.
Yeah.
My only, I didn't have a better place to bring this up. Did anyone else think we were going to get an NSYNC sighting in this movie when the topic of NSYNC tickets came up?
No, but Andy certainly does look like Lance Bass.
Yeah. Sure does.
Yeah, sure does. I also was curious if they were going to put the money down to get NSYNC, at least like a song appearance or something, or a merch appearance, but
or concert footage, like showed the cast in a crowd and then cut to NSYNC footage from a different time or something. So we'll do. I have one last one, and this is where we can talk about why did a French writer, why a European writer. I just want to ponder on the similarities to the 2006 comedy Talladega Nights, where the owner of the main one being the owner of the racing team goes to Europe to get a rival, terrible European rider, who becomes our third act antagonist. Strangely, this also happens in Cars 3. Cars 3 is another Talladega Nights.
Never seen it.
So why a European rider? Let's go that direction instead. Why is that such a trope, I guess?
I think it's probably just kind of the idea that in sports, whether it's like traditional sports, extreme sports, whatever, I think there's always this trope of a better competitor from an international market. You know, like whether it's the Russian guy from Rocky or the Jamaicans from Cool Runnings, like there's always an international.
Jamaicans from Cool Runnings are the heroes.
I know.
Okay.
Shut the fuck up. Think of it from the perspective of everybody else who showed up to bobsled, and then Jamaica is there. Like, just because they're the protagonists, they're still an example of this.
I get what you're saying.
I think that there is always the trope of an unknown or undiscovered international savant And I think that this just kind of plays into that trope as a character type.
I will go a step further than that, Matt, because I think the answer is just a really easy way to get your audience to hate, your American audience to hate a third act and new antagonist in the third act, because the dad has changed sides here, is make him a foreigner. I think
make him a French dude.
Make him a French dude.
We are in Freedom Fries era. This is Freedom Fries era.
Not yet.
Not yet.
This is pre 9/11, man.
Pre 9/11. No Freedom Fries yet.
Freedom Fries is a 9/11 thing? I thought that was a Desert Storm thing.
No, it's a 9/11 thing.
It was because France didn't want to join the what was it? The Axis. It wasn't the Axis of Power. Fuck. It was. It was the you know what I meant. It was whatever like their like version of their emergency UN was for fighting terrorism.
France was the whitest country to oppose America occupying Afghanistan. Sure. Basically.
Yeah, Wikipedia says 2003. So I learned something about Freedom Fries today. But
yeah, that's it. You're right. It's we were done being xenophobic towards Russians, and France was still an easy target at the time because they didn't speak English and they had ideas that were foreign to us, and therefore we must hate them.
Is there any like element of like motocross is an American sport and we don't need those like fancy European F1 drivers in our...
I think there is also and this is more in cars, but there is the like American versus foreign market of cars, and you have the diehard like I will only drive American cars are best. I will not drive anything foreign, which was would have been stronger at this time than, because we hadn't had like the Volkswagen plant open in the US yet or anything like that. So I think there's part of that at play here for sure. All right. So guys, what did we learn today?
I think what we learned is you can be really good at driving motorcycles as long as you casually drive in the woods and, just get out there and enjoy nature. Yeah.
There is a magic river out there that will make you better at motorsports.
There's a magical bisexual river out there for all of us, and we just have to find it.
I learned that if your little brother is a Stark level engineer before the age of 10, you should keep a closer eye on him.
Yeah, that kid needs to be on a list or two.
For sure. He was on the Project Insight list, definitely.
Yeah. I think this Disney movie most closely hits its goal message so far of like your gender does not determine what you're capable of. I think it nailed it. Got it pretty good. So, where in the official DCOM-structed power rankings does this movie go?
I think it goes to the top. I think
it does too.
Looking at our list, it's certainly better than Johnny Tsunami, which is our current top movie. And
it's a certified banger.
And I wouldn't put it below anything else on the list. This is our new top DCOM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally forgot this movie. Like this one,
same.
Unlike Luck of the Irish, like I loved Luck of the Irish. This one, like I don't remember. I remember this was like on.
Julie and I watched this most recently, I think in 2020. It was one of our first, hey, Disney Plus is out. Hey, we can't go anywhere because pandemic.
Yeah.
Let's watch DCOMs and then Motocrossed. And it held up then. It holds up now. It is a good family movie. It is a good movie. No modifiers. Fun watch. That's going to do it for us this month on DCOM-structed. Join us next month where we kick off Hot Xenon Summer.
Zetus Lapidus, motherfucker!
Hot Girl of the 21st Century Summer, where we will be watching Xenon Girl of the 21st Century in June. Z2, I forget the subtitle.
It's the Zillogy. We're watching the Zillogy.
We're watching the Zillogy.
Yeah, the Zillogy.
We're watching Z2 in July and Z3 in August. So you have your work laid out for you, DCOM-structed nation. I'm Kyle, your host, and I give this movie 3 out of 3 broken top ends.
That's good. I'm Andrew Henderson, and I give this movie 10. Let's get down to business to defeat the Hendersons. Out of 10.
My name is Matt, and I give this movie X out of X because gender is a spectrum, and that's what I learned in this movie today.
Bye.
Bye.